Sleep has been a constant struggle for me, but I finally have found a solution that works. Stick around, I have just the thing that can help you as well. Beam's Dream Powder. So the New York Times just did an analysis of Donald Trump's cognitive decline, of his speech patterns, of the words that he uses, the vocabulary, the meandering nature of his speech, the fact that his speeches used to be like 45 minutes average length, and now they're like up to almost 2 hours long, just ramble. And Fox News, specifically beady-eyed Brian Kilmeade, is apoplectic about it, crying and whining to the MAGA gods. Why, Lord? Why is this being allowed? It's actually Kamala Harris who is cognitively insufficient for the job of president. She can't even do anything without it, and then there's no details. I'm going to play a clip of Brian Kilmeade, and I'm going to read from this article that's actually fascinating and illuminating relative to the condition of Donald Trump. I mean, look, colloquially, we've all witnessed Donald Trump. We watch the clips, we see, but you don't really notice because it's a long tail. It's kind of like this. It's me, for instance. When I first started doing YouTube, right around the time Donald Trump came around, I had a full red beard. And I don't notice all of the gray unless I look back and I'm like, oh shit. It's a big difference. So when you do an analysis and you look at the numbers and you look at what they found, it's stark. It is stark. One, just the low grade level that he speaks at. I think I talked about this a week or so ago. But also just the comparison of what it was from 2016 or even 2020. It's stark. But first, before I read that article, let me show you Brian Kilmeade just beside himself that the New York Times would write such a piece.
But to talk about Kamala Harris doing serious interviews tomorrow, Brian, she's going to be on The View, Howard Stern, and Stephen Colbert. Friendly interviews.
A lot of times she blows them too.
Right.
So anything could happen. Her prompter stopped on Friday, and she kept repeating the same 32 days 4 or 5 times. But yet the front page of the New York Times last night, and maybe it's today's, that just broke last night, is Donald Trump mentally okay? He just spoke for an hour and 45 minutes in front of maybe 60 to 100,000 people. He does 3 interviews a day. He's going to do a whole bunch. He's doing WABC this morning, doing a whole bunch of interviews all week. And they're like, is Donald Trump okay? Why doesn't he do a cognitive exam? You have Kamala Harris, who can't get through any type of interview and make any sense. And that's why the people that are closest to her don't want her doing any. They asked a follow-up question to what you said about lying about IVF. He goes, do you, on an abortion ban? So, Shannon Bream, when he says, I'm not going to sign an abortion ban, do you think he's lying? He goes, yes. What are you supposed to say to that?
Right.
So lying when you disagree with a policy that'll push your campaign further, all I can tell you is the polls are a flat-footed tie, and we'll see who's going to outwork the other. Well, it looks like 60 Minutes is not going to get Donald Trump. But she sat down for a 60 Minutes interview that's not going to air till next Sunday? That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's Kamala Harris who's the problem. It's not Donald Trump being clear to everyone's eyes diminished in nature. So here is the article, the title of which is Trump's Speeches, Increasingly Angry and Rambling, Reignite the Question of Age. With the passage of time, the 78-year-old former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, less focused, more profane, and increasingly fixated on the past, according to a review of his public appearances over the years. According to a review, they're doing the work. They're going back and making a comparison. Here's the article. Former President Donald Trump vividly recounted how the audience at his climactic debate with Vice President Kamala Harris was on his side, except that there was no audience. The debate was held in an empty hall. No one went crazy, as Mr. Trump put it, because no one was there. Anyone can misremember, of course, but the debate had been just a week earlier and a fairly memorable moment. And it was hardly the only time Mr. Trump has seemed confused, forgetful, incoherent, or disconnected from reality lately. In fact, it happens so often these days that it no longer even generates much attention. And that last sentence, that it happens so often it hardly generates attention, maybe not from the mainstream media, maybe not from the media that's missing in action, that is missing the moment, sure. But people in independent media, people out there who are witnessing it, they are taking note. It is being mentioned. It is being talked about because it's important. Just because something happens all the time doesn't mean it shouldn't be talked about. New York Times. He rambles, he repeats himself, he roams from thought to thought, some of them hard to understand. This is like a Dr. Seuss poem, isn't it? He rambles, he repeats himself, he roams from thought to thought. Some of them hard to understand, some of them unfinished, some of them factually fantastical. He voices outlandish claims that seem to be made up out of whole cloth. He digresses into bizarre tangents about golf, about sharks, about his own beautiful quote-unquote body. He relishes, quote, a great day in Louisiana, end quote, after spending the day in Georgia. He expresses fear that North Korea is, quote unquote, trying to kill me when he presumably means Iran. As late as last month, Mr. Trump was speaking as if he were running against President Biden 5 weeks after his withdrawal from the race. According to a computer analysis by the New York Times, Mr. Trump's rally speeches now last an average of 82 minutes compared with 45 minutes in 2016. Proportionately, he uses 13% more all or nothing terms like always and never than he did 8 years ago, which some experts consider a sign of advancing age. Similarly, he uses 32% more negative words than positive words now, compared with 21% in 2016, which can be another indicator of cognitive change. And he uses swear words 69% more often than he did when he first ran, a trend that could reflect what experts call disinhibition. A study by Stat, a healthcare news outlet, produced similar findings. Now, I don't know about the cursing thing. I am fond of cursing, but there's no decline or advancement in the number of curse words I say. So I think I'm safe. Let me continue here. Mr. Trump frequently reaches to the past for his frame of reference, often to the 1980s and 1990s when he was in his tabloid-fueled heyday. He cites fictional characters from that era, like Hannibal Lecter, from Silence of the Lip. He meant Silence of the Lambs. Asks, where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny, who died in 2005. And ruminates on how attractive Cary Grant was, the most handsome man. He asks supporters whether they remember the landing in New York of Charles Lindbergh, who actually landed in Paris and long before Mr. Trump was born. Shocking, he's also invoking the name of famous Nazi collaborator and sympathizer Charles Lindbergh. That's for another day, I guess. He seems confused about modern technology, suggesting that most people don't have any idea what the hell a phone app is in a country where 96% of people own a smartphone. If sometimes he seems stuck in the 90s, there are moments when he pines for the 1890s, holding out that decade as the halcyon period of American history, and William McKinley as his model president because of his support for tariffs. And then final paragraph, a 2022 study by a pair of University of Montana scholars found that Mr. Trump's speech complexity was significantly lower than that of the average president over American history. Parenthetically, they say so was Mr. Biden's. The Times analysis found that Mr. Trump speaks at a 4th grade level, lower than rivals like Ron DeSantis of Florida, who speaks at an 8th grade level, which is roughly average for modern presidents. This is kind of funny that they're talking about this because as an aside, in one of my rambling tangents a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this very thing, that George W. Bush speaks at about an 8th grade level, junior high level, and Donald Trump is just steady in the elementary age level. Now, this could be chalked up to a good communicator who knows who his audience is. Certainly that could be the case. But it's the change that we're talking about. Donald Trump is no longer the man he was in 2016, which is saying something because he wasn't much in 2016. And the 2020 version of Donald Trump was a diminished version of that. It's a nightmare that Republicans are putting this person forward to be the leader of the country. Embarrassing, dangerous, someone to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of this country. And Fox News, acting as surrogates, acting as a campaign arm, want to make it a horse race between Kamala Harris, objectively brilliant and accomplished, and fourth grade reading, speaking level Donald Trump. Come on. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know. I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. That'll help the algorithm to recommend this content to new viewers. That would be great. You can also leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you. Follow me on social media if you're there. If you're not, don't sign up because it is terrible. But if you want to luxuriate in the misery of social media with me, I am at Dollemore just about everywhere. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine, take care of one another, and stick around for this offer from Beam's Dream. I am lucky that many things come easy to me. My work ethic, my cooking acumen, these winsome features. But I have long struggled with one thing: sleep. Some nights I'm up and then down and then up again. Some nights I get a couple hours and then I'm just up and running for the day. I don't need to tell you, if you struggle with sleep too, that sleep is everything. The quality of your sleep affects both your mind and your body. Your focus, your energy, and your mood, they all depend upon good sleep. If quality sleep is a challenge for you, repeat after me: Beam's Dream Powder. Dream is an all-natural cocoa formulated to ease your body into rest by supporting all 4 stages of the sleep cycle. Dream will help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Dream has been a game changer for me and my sleep. My listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder. Their science-backed, healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Better sleep has never tasted better. Get up to 40% off now at shopbeam.com/Dollemore and use code Dollemore at checkout. Other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess, but Dream contains a powerful, all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, epigenin, and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Not only is Dream all-natural, but all flavors are delicious too. I treat myself to the brownie batter, but you can opt for the sea salt caramel, vanilla chai, or the OG cinnamon cocoa. Who knew quality sleep could taste good too? Make Dream an easy add to your evening routine. Before bed, just mix Dream into hot boiling water or milk, froth, and enjoy. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Dollemore and use code Dollemore at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Dollemore and use code Dollemore for up to 40% off. Beam will help you get that dream.